The other day, I received a WhatsApp forward in one of the WhatsApp group. The forward claimed that it was from a lab owner, and he was explaining of how the COVID tests are being manipulated and false positives are given so that the lab owners can make a lot of money. Now, I do not know the authenticity of this message, but it kind of triggered me to see whether are there any policy level frameworks in policy making which we can apply to avoid such pitfalls. So stick on to this video to know more about what I found during my research. Hi there, I'm Trishna. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new to this channel or if you haven't subscribed yet, please click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so that every time I release a video, you will get a notification. And it also goes a long way in supporting my YouTube channel. So this was the WhatsApp message that I got. I will read it out for you. I own a testing lab. Today, I received 10 samples for testing in my lab. All were negative. If I declare all negative, then these 10 samples will not give me my income tomorrow. Thinking about this, I declared 4 out of these as positive. Next day, those 4 people's relatives or friends who were in contact with them had come for testing. I got 40 samples and I was overjoyed. Again, out of the 40 samples, I declared 12 samples as positive. Next day, I received 120 samples of friends or relatives. Now, tell me, can anyone stop me from becoming rich? So, how did you like this business game? Did you understand anything from this? So, this was the WhatsApp forward that I received. I have no way of knowing the authenticity of it. So this forwarded message got me thinking on, is there some solution at a policy level where we can implement so that such conflicts of interest can be addressed?
Conflict of interest is a situation in which a person is involved in multiple competing interests, and serving one interest could involve working against the other.
So in my research, I found certain interesting aspects which I'm sharing in this video.
In policy making, this is called as a principal agent problem. Here, a person, that is agent, is able to make a decision on behalf of another person, that is the principal. The dilemma exists when the agent is motivated to take an action which is in his or her best interest, but is contrary to the principal's best interest. In our COVID lab testing problem, the principal is the patient who is giving his or her sample for testing, and the agent is the lab owner. The lab owner in this case is motivated to give an incorrect result to maximize profits, which is detrimental to the principal's interest. Now that we have a clearly defined model, what are the suggestions to prevent untoward behaviors? One suggested method for such problems is to provide a financial incentive to encourage the agent to work in the principal's interest. In the lab testing problem, how do we provide financial incentive to drive appropriate behavior? Do we pay more for negative results compared to positive ones? That again doesn't make sense, because every positive result is going to increase the inflow for more testing, and this policy is not going to clip the reinforcing loop. Rather, can we change the way payments are done? That is, rather than each patient paying for a test, can we provide a flat amount to the COVID labs, irrespective of the number of tests that are done? Of course, we should have some guardrails like having to do a minimum number of tests a month to qualify for this. The payments could go through the insurance companies or government to a set of certified COVID labs across the country. The second option is to audit the results. This could be random sampling where we pick up 1 out of every 1000 tests and run it through another lab. Specific to COVID, the test by itself is not conclusive. So we would need to have a higher tolerance to error rate. The auditing could control intentional false positives to an extent. So fine, are there any other aspects that we can consider?
Behavioral economics is a field of study that has always interested me. Dan Arley, in his book Predictably Irrational, talks about the hidden forces that influence our decisions. Some of his findings hinges on ethical behavior, which is kind of pertinent to the situation that we are discussing. So let us look into some of the findings that he has from his research. I will also leave a link to this book in my video description, and it has a wealth of knowledge and research that he has done on human behavior.
In an experiment, he gave two separate groups 20 simple maths problems to be solved within 5 minutes. Post 5 minutes, he asked the people from the first group to tell him how many problems they solved, and he handed over $1 per answer. On an average, people in this group claimed that they answered 4 questions for which they were given $4. In the other group, he asked people to shred the answer paper and then tell him how many they solved. On an average, members in this group claimed that they solved 7 questions and they earned $7. What was surprising about the experiment was that although the second group knew that they could lie through their teeth as the paper was shredded, it was observed that people did not cheat a lot. Each of them seemed to have an inner threshold called the fudge factor, beyond which they were not able to self-justify their self-image of being honest, and this controlled the level of cheating. So, coming to our lab testing problem, can we control the fudge factor? Dan Arley continued his experiments to find out on how can we shrink the fudge factor. He did experiments where people had to recall the 10 commandments or swear by their holy book or read out a honor code. When any of these were initiated, he observed that the cheating stopped. So the closest solution to invoke the lab's self-righteousness is to regularly invoke their code of honor and hope that that will lower the level of cheating at least among some members. Now, is there something that will increase the fudge factor, thereby derailing our exercise? To test this, Dan Arley had done another experiment. In this setup, people solved the questions, walked up and asked for the same number of tokens that they claimed to have solved, and then they walked into the next room and exchanged the tokens for dollars. Here, the cheating doubled. So, the cheating increased the further a person was away from the actual exchange of money. This is akin to how we see where taking a pen worth rupees 10 from our office is okay, but taking rupees 10 from the office cash register is considered stealing. So, by this logic, how do we reduce the degree of separation between the patient, the payment, and the lab? That is, invoke morality for the lab owner by giving a face to the patient rather than an automated email triggering the report to an unknown receiver? that's probably an experiment worth doing.
Is there a relationship between social norms and cheating? Let's look at what the research says.
In this experiment, Dan Arley had implanted an actor among the students from two different colleges. When the students were solving, the actor, wearing the jersey of one of the college, stood up in a matter of few minutes and claimed that he had completed the test, wherein it was obvious to everyone that he was cheating. It was observed that the cheating went up considerably from those students who were from the same college. The actor seemed to have set the norms of cheating, and the students from the same group felt that it was okay to cheat. The takeaway from this research would be that we could reduce the tendency of labs cheating by building mechanisms where the positive messages are reinforced. This could be through dissemination of positive news, recognizing labs with high standards, recognizing labs those which have shown high levels of social responsibility, etc.
Now, as I mentioned earlier, we have no ways to ascertain the authenticity of this forward. However, it brings to light the various conflict of interest that we see in our day-to-day life. Now, if you like this kind of video, you may also like my video on 10 negotiating techniques which you can use in your daily life. I will leave the link here. The points that I've illustrated here is just to trigger the creative thinking in you so that when you see similar circumstances, you can identify the conflicts of interest. Now, if you're a student studying policy making or conflict of interest, or if you have any suggestions on how we can handle this conflict of interest better, please do not hesitate to give your comments and feedback. I would really be intrigued to know if there is any other way to handle this conflict of interest. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like me to do more videos similar to this, please provide your feedback. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so. It goes a long way in supporting my YouTube channel. Thank you very much again.